where we're basically going to create the UI for the sign up page. Let's go back to our client folder, and over here we're going to go to the source folder, and in here we're going to go to the pages, and then we have the sign up page.jsx. Over here what you have is your component, and at the same time you have the server having some invalid user validation failed, username is required. Okay, so basically when I gave that username out, then after that some error came, but now everything seems to work perfect. Let's just move back here, and let's open up our navigation, our browser, and put that screen over here and put this over here. Let me just open it up again, and what we want to do is now basically create the sign up page. So let's go to sign up, which is slash sign up, like this, and this is the sign up page, and we want to basically create a really nice function, basically not a function but a component here, so that it looks really nice. So the first thing that comes in mind to basically create this sign up page is remove this sign up initially, and you want to use some other tag instead of generally you would use this tag, which is div, but what you want to do is you want to put something different in here. So right now let me just create a div in here, a div, and inside it has a div, and this div will contain two different two sections. We'll have a left side and the right side. Now I'm talking about this. We'll basically create a bigger container, and inside we'll have two smaller containers. So we'll have div smaller container 1, and this is the second container, which is the left container and the right container. So I could just essentially create a comment here, so control and / like that, and I'd say left, okay, and the other one, which is right here, is going to be called right. Okay, so now we have this perfectly aligned. Let's go back to our code. Did it just close out? Okay, so we're in the blog over here too. We could just say code dot again, and this should open up. I don't know how it randomly turned off, but yeah, and I believe everything is off now, but it's totally fine. I could just restart, and okay, it has a problem. I believe that was off. Okay, let me restart again. Okay, it has a problem right now. I don't know what happened. So it says over here we have where are we? Burn block. Okay, we're not even in the path. So remember to be in this exact path. We're in that server, and over here we are in the client. I just randomly turned that off. npm run and dev. Okay, same thing goes for here, npm run and dev. Okay, so now we have that. Basically we could go back, and loads up perfectly fine, and let's create our component here. Okay, the UI for this sign up page. So we have this div, and I'm talking about the left side, and in the left side what we want to do is we want to basically create a logo. Remember that logo that we had initially for our navbar? We could take that thing. So let's go to the navbar section, in the components, the header. So what we want to do is we want to grab this link. So this entire link we could just grab. Okay. So we're gonna copy this, and we're just actually gonna use it in here. Okay, now it's gonna complain a little. The one thing it's gonna say is that link is not defined. So you could do control and space and add link. Okay, I didn't add it properly. I think it's this one. No. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. So the thing is, we have to import link, and that is easy. Import link from React Router DOM. There you go. You have your you have the logo, but what we want to do here is it goes to the same thing, meaning let me just have this on the right. Okay, and a little bit smaller. Okay, I want to explain that we have self-center, right? And we basically have white space, no wrap. We don't need any of this, so we don't need text small. We don't need that, and SM text XL. We basically don't need that either. Font semi bold and dark. So we could say font bold instead of semi bold. Just make it bold. So we basically need text, which is I would say we don't even need self-center either, and we want text to be a little extra size, 4XL, like that. That's good. Okay, so now we have this link tag, which has a mesh of, it has a mesh, which is like a net. It's hosting, or it's containing the span tag as well as the alone blog, right? So that's why this link tag has everything, and we basically made the size bigger. Okay, so in this span we have this same exact styling. We don't need to even touch that. Right after that, we could have this which is the div for this upper div, which is this is the left side div, right? And this is the container div, which is up here. And inside, before the container, we have this the basic gigantic container containing the container, which will have the two nested ones. I hope you believe this whole chain. And over here, what we're gonna do is basically have class name and make it a little bigger from the top. So minimum height screen, and we'll have minimum height screen. You can see it a little condensed, but we want a margin top of 20. Now you'll see this will push down because we basically put a margin top. Inside of this, we have div, and we would actually what have is extra things inside of this one, which contains the left and right. But in the left section, right, we want a class name, and in this left class name, you basically could have the class name for this one, as well as this right one, which is div class name. Okay, and what you will see is that left one, if I do this, it will basically have this size shared, but at the moment I'm gonna explain it as we go through this, right? So the first thing what we want to do is we want to create this p tag. So right after this link, you want to add a paragraph, and the paragraph will have some random text. You could add anything. I'll just put this is a demo blog, and you want to basically create this as small, so you could say class name, and the class name could have a text of SM small like this, and you'll have a like I saved it, got a little smaller, but you want a margin top of 5 from the link as well. That's good. Now, yes, it's a little close together, so you can see that this is the left, and inside here we have the entire thing. So we don't have a class name here, and you normally would put flex here. Now if I put flex, I don't know if you saw any change, but I didn't put anything over there. 1 minute. So let me go back here, and without flex, okay, and then with flex, it's nothing. But when I actually put the padding of 3, now this is going to contain padding, and it's going to be spaced around. So you'll see everything has space, even the in the left margin and the right. So that's good, but we also want a max of max width. So a max width of 3XL. So this is basically going to be for wider screens. It's going to have a good width. You can see over here, it has a really nice width, but we want to have it centered. So you'd say margin X, auto, so MX auto. So we want that tag as well. So let me just go here, back here, and I'll say margin X, and then we have come on auto. Okay, and now you could see that it's going to be centered. Let me just see, it's a little centered, but it still needs adjustment, because this is just the left side. Remember, I have a right side over here. It's going to contain the right div, but right now you could just view the left div, and it's also very big. I mean, it's massive. You want it shared equally. So we're basically we're gonna look into this, but at the moment, let's go into the right div. So in the right div, you would have a form. So what we could do is, so we have a form. Okay, so in this form, we basically want to have some things in here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to have a label, and this is not a normal label. It's essentially that label coming from it's coming from that, if I could find it. Okay. Let me see, I got an error, inspect. Okay, that worked. Okay, it says over here, label is not defined. The thing is, I used label before in the not controller component. If you go back to the controller, okay, so you could see over here, we basically used Flowbite. See, we need this again. So we're gonna go back here, and we're gonna say we need okay, so we're gonna say import label from not components label, but Flowbite React Flowbite. Okay, so Flowbite React, it should fix the issue, but still it has an issue. Okay, still has an issue. The request module does not provide a name, the export name default. So let me see. 3. So what you could do is you could put it in like this, and the error is gone, and you could see that everything is fixed. You have to import label from Flowbite React. Remember to have this squiggly record. It's very important. And now you could see that the label is there, and you basically want, you know, this form having a label and and some extra things. But what you want to do is you want to contain this label in a text field inside of a div. So the purpose here is to essentially, let me explain. So what we want here is a text input, and these are not normal things. These are Flowbite ones. Text, so input. Again, this is from Flowbite. So you could just basically import that by clicking on that, and you know, it's like that. And over here, we could just essentially, for the label, what we want to do is you could also have it self-closing. It really doesn't matter. So 1 minute. So let me just close this out. Okay. And over here, what you want to do is you want to say value, and then you say your username. Okay. And then you would see your username right here, which is amazing. I mean, you could see right there, right? And the reason why it's over here is because we have flex right here, right? But I'll show you right now, and that's why it's coming in a row fashion by default. And over here we have text input, and the same thing goes for here. So we'd have type, which is text, placeholder, which is username, and then we'd have ID, which is username. Okay, and then basically that's pretty much it. We just remove all that stuff, and that's our your username, and then we have your username. Now the thing is, I don't want it like this in smaller screens, right? In mobile screens, I don't want it together like that. It is not good and not right. So what you would do is you could combat this by, you know, you see this form, and you have this div, which is the right one, right? And there's this other div, which is the left one, right? Now 1 second. So we have this left div, okay, and then we have this right div. So this left div, and then we have this right div. So we could just put this as this. You could see this one as, let me just condense it so you could see it a little clearer. So this is the left div and the right div, and you have this bigger div, which is over here, right, which is the flex P3 and then MX auto. What you want to do is, just to make it a column, you could just say flex call, okay, instead of any other thing. So just say flex hyphen call. This will make it go down for smaller screens, and you could just say in medium devices, right? In medium devices till higher, you could make it flex column row. So that means when you make the screen bigger, instead of having it column down like this, it would go in the row fashion in the bigger screens. Okay, great. Now you have that, and you also have in medium devices, you want one other thing, medium devices and higher screens. Okay, what you want to do is items hyphen center. Okay, you want items to be on the center. So this is gonna make the items centered, but again, this one looks very small and this one very big. So what you want to do is you want to share this width properly. To do that, let's go back to the div, which is right here, right? And in here, what you want to do is just, you basically have a flex one tag, and you put the same dimension to the other one. So basically, if I could copy this and I go back to the div 2, which is right here, and I say which is div, okay, so right here, paste it. Now if I go here, you can see it's essentially shared now. You can see now it's a little broken, right? I mean, not broken, but it's wrapped, and it's basically sharing the same dimension. Again, it still has some issues, and we could fix those by making the gap, okay, making a gap here. So that's also the fix for that. And let me just quickly put a gap too, so that you could see that, you know, there's no problem with that. So let me just quickly add a gap here as well. So right here, which is here, let me just add a gap of 5. Okay, and now you will see now it's good looking here as well as here. It looks much better. I mean, it looks really good. Okay, great. Now let's move back here and let's just complete our right one. So over here we have a form and we have this first one. So this has to be in a div. Okay, so this form, this first label has to be in a div. Okay, so this is like div, and this div should be closed right after this text field. So this is inside of a div. Okay, so this is first div, and then and the similar things go to the next one. So we basically have div 1, and then we could just have alt, shift, and down 2 and 3. Okay, so we'd have 3 ones. Over here we'll just say your email. Okay, and then we'll have text, placeholder will say email. So you could just basically say name at company.com. Okay, and you'll have the ID as email. Okay, same thing goes for your password, so you could say your password. Okay, and you could have text and placeholder. Okay, so the type would be password. Okay, so the type would be password, and the placeholder would also be password. Okay, and then we have the ID, which is password as well. Okay, so this is good. And then we have this div close. Okay, great. We have these nice looking buttons, but right now they're really meshed together, right? They're really squished together. How do we separate this and make it a little better? Well, you just make a flex again. So go in this form, you know, where it contains everything, and you could just say class name, and then in here you could just say flex. Now if I did flex, you by default it's row, right? So you want to say, okay, it's flex by default row, but you want it as column because we're in the smaller screen. So we'd say flex column, right? And you want to put a gap. So we'll say gap of, let's suppose, 4. Now it's a little spaced out, right? Looks nice, looks really good. And right now it's in a bigger screen, right? But if we make it smaller screen, let's suppose, like, yeah. So generally it would have to break in smaller devices, right? So, and that's how it's breaking. You see this? Okay, so let me just see. So this is a bigger screen, and this is the smaller screen. You see this bigger screen, and then smaller screen. You have this on what I was talking about, column. By default, it's row. So let me just make it smaller so that you could actually see it. Okay, now this is what we want to target, and right after this, we want to have a button. So we have this div, and right all after this form, we go to you know, have the div, and then we'll have right after, not the form, but right after this div, we could have a button, and that's also from Flowbite. So button from Flowbite. Okay, and could have a self-closing button as well, and it's all super easy as well and super simple. What you could do is you could make it gradient, duo tone. So duo tone, and then in here we'll say, let's suppose we could do anything. So purple to pink, you could have any color you want. See that button? And in the text, you would have type, which will be submit for this form. So remember, this is inside of the form tag, this button. That's why I'm putting submit, and you know, it basically has this button. Okay, you could, instead of having self-closing, you could have it close like this and put a text, close, control, and then over here would have sign in. or I mean, sorry, not sign in, but sign up or something. Okay, so that is our button. Now what we want to do is right after this form, okay, right after this form, you would have to put one thing right here. And that is another important thing, is just like, you know, those people who have accounts, already have accounts. So we'll put a div, and in here we could put a span and then say already have an account, right? And then if you already have an account, what you could do is you could have a link, and then we have a to field, and that goes to the sign in page. Okay, sign in page. Okay, and what you could just say is sign in. Okay, and here what you would do is you would just basically put a class name and make the text as text blue 500. Okay, great. Now the thing is, it's really mushed and squished. So what you want to do is you want to have a class name within the div that we created, right? And first of all, you put flex, so it's default, and then put a gap of 2. It's a little spaced out, and then you could also put a text of small, which is good. Now put a margin top of let's suppose 5, so it's a little separated from the sign up. Okay, that's good. And everything else looks to, you know, it really looks good. I mean, we completed the mobile navigation, looks good on mobile. We max it out to bigger screens, and also looks very decent on mobile screens. So this is basically 1 minute. To be honest, if I'm gonna max, so you could see that there is a little bit maybe a gap needed. So what I could do is I could go here. I'll just put a little more gap. So over here where you have this upper div, which had margin top of 5, I guess, no, gap of 5, you could put a gap of 10, and look at drastically, when I save it, it has this, you know, kind of change. And now normally people would visit like this, and I believe it's looking pretty natural and pretty good. Okay, so that's pretty much it with this one, and we'll go to the next one and explore more about this.